Nashville, Tennessee is home to some of the world's finest musicians. From country music to R&B to hip-hop and everything in between, if you've heard it, Nashville's got it. But ever since I moved to the city in 2013, I've met some incredible musicians who fall in between the cracks. Amazing musicians who are passionate about that other music. So I'm not here to talk about the music you've probably heard. I'm here to introduce you to them, illuminate their music, and share their stories. My name is David Rodgers. I'm an improviser, composer, and pianist here in Music City, USA, and I want to welcome you to the Improviser's Corner. Today's episode features one of Nashville's most sought-after drummers who can seemingly do it all, Memphis native Marcus Finnie. We chat about his recent live record release, his take on music in academia, and the challenges of balancing life on the road with raising a family, plus a whole lot more. Cool, so I'm here today with Marcus Finnie, who we were just saying we've known each other for, I guess, 3 years. 3 years now, it feels more like 15. We were on the road together with Tajmo back in 2017, 2018, still tour together with Keb once in a while. And it's just a pleasure and honor to have you on the show today, man. Thanks.
Man, it's great to be here, man.
Yeah. Funnily enough, your mom was on the show a couple episodes ago. And I guess we'll just start there. What was it like growing up in Memphis with Mabel Pleasure as your mother?
I mean, like, I wish I had the pocket that she has. You know, the way she plays, the way she feels a pulse, it's amazing to me. And she was very, both my parents really, they had different roles that they played in me becoming the musician that I am. You know, creatively, my mom, logistically and timeliness, my dad, and you know, and so both of those elements really are still a part, obviously, of who I am today. And it wasn't until until I got to college, or just shortly after college, where my mom and I played together one time, and that was when I realized just how cold-blooded she was. Wow. Because before that, I mean, she's just mom. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't want to play with mom because she's gonna hit me again. Because she would kick me off the drums, man. Like, we'd be playing, you know, I was like 5 or 6 years old, and she would be conducting the choir, playing organ, singing lead, and, you know, while playing bass, organ, you know what I mean, doing all this stuff. And if I started to speed up or slow down, or if I'm playing too busy, she would say, Marcus, start slapping her leg, you know, right here. And if I got too, you know, out there, she would kick me off the drums, like, you know, Billy or Tyrone or whoever, you know, come over here and play. Yeah. It's like, can I get past the intro first? You know, we already started, you know, kick me off, give me a chance. And so, but that was, I think that particular type of schooling, especially from your parent, I think it's necessary, you know what I mean? Yeah. It helps you get it quicker. It still took me a long time, but it helps you get it quicker. In my opinion, you know, whenever you have a student graduate from high school, they say, all right, I want to major in music. And it's like, okay, you're majoring in music to do what? Do you want to be a professional musician or do you want to teach? Because if you want to be a professional musician, you're going to start in the hole deep, with tuition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you have, they get their undergrad, then they get their grad, and then you go on to get their doctorate. And my whole question is like, well, when have you played? When have you experienced anything? Right now, I feel like, and this is not, 100% true, so let me, clarify that. It's just something I've seen a few times, quite a few times, where people will get their doctorate and they go back into the classroom. And I'm like, well, what are you teaching? Are you teaching just those, 8, 12 years of what you learned? But like, are you teaching them to go back into the classroom?
Right.
And like, so now you have like literally a culture of educated music versus the people's music, but there's still something to the educational piece. Again, I'm not trying to like say it's, frown on it. I mean, even Art Blakey even said one time, I heard a story where he was at some club and he was listening to these young guys play, and he leaned over to somebody and he said, starting to sound educated. Which I thought, like he said it, I didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the whole point of it is, when you would hear like Wynton Marsalis and Nicholas Payton, different people say jazz is dead. I think what they were personally, or what I take from that phrase is the culture of jazz. Like, because you had socially, it was a culture built around jazz and like pop music is a cultural thing. R&B is a cultural thing. Well, so is jazz. And so is jazz a part of popular culture now? And people like Glasper and others have ushered in, the emergence of like the R&B hip hop thing into jazz to make to keep the trajectory going. But as far as, the educational piece, getting your doctorate and master's, I mean, I'm all for it if you want to be a teacher, for sure. But just know that, like, I personally think that when you actually go out and experience it, and you have you have the pedigree, so to speak, to like, I played on this many albums, I've toured this many things, I've headlined, whatever. So now you actually have evidence of like, this is how you make it work.
Right.
It is not in a textbook.
Yeah.
It's not in a syllabus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is my life. I'm telling you about my life, not about what I read.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
So,
what do you think is the most valuable thing someone could learn in an undergraduate collegiate music setting? Whether they want to be a teacher or a performer.
Camaraderie, like getting to, like, that is what I think is the most beneficial about the collegiate music experience, is like meeting people, like-minded people who want to play, and finding that chemistry, and wanting to, further, I guess, push the envelope in a sense of like, hey, we have this ensemble class, let's get together outside of class and let's jam, let's go gig, let's go do something. But I think one of the things that the collegiate experience needs to incorporate, as I've said before, is a money management course for like at least 4 semesters. You know what I mean? Just to like teach just money management, and so that you can start to figure out your value, because we know this is a completely ambiguous industry, the music industry as a whole. And that's what's hard. That's where the balance, that's where the rub comes, man. It's like we would rather work than to not work.
Yeah.
And a lot of these promoters and clients, they know that. And so they'll try to lowball you if you're not careful. Right. And so you just have to value yourself and make sure that you are honest. Because when you're honest, man, I think people are looking for that honesty first, rather than trying to sound like somebody else. So.
what do you think are the elements or things that have allowed you to, I mean, you did acknowledge it is a moving target, so we never really figure it out, so to speak. But you are somebody who's established yourself as a great performer, a great session player, a great teacher. What are some of the common threads that allow you to sort of excel in sort of the diverse walks of life that encompass, you know, being a musician?
I think it's, again, just like different social circles, I guess. You know, you learn different topics, genres, and you find the right circle that fits your energy or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Because, you know, not every situation works. And I think we get really caught up in, oh man, you know, I played this gig with whoever, and yeah, man, he or she, it just wasn't, you know, they can't do such and such and such and such. And it's like, it ain't about whether they can or can't necessarily. It's just about that you are further along, maybe in a particular language or in a particular field than they are. And you know, you think about relationships in general, like you hang with somebody and it's like, oh man, this is cool, man. Let's get together and, like, you know, go to a bar, or let's go grab food or whatever, let's hang. And other people, you meet them and you're kind of like, okay, man, it was nice meeting you. And you move on. Yeah. And it's okay.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times we don't want to accept that something doesn't work, you know.
Well, it goes back to that honesty thing you were talking about earlier. You know, if honesty is not the priority, then you keep chasing it. But if you're not headed in that direction, then you're never going to get there.
You can only be 100% you.
Right.
That's it. Like, that's the only thing you can be 100% at.
Yeah. When did you realize that?
Yesterday. I'm kidding.
You are someone with very fine tastes when it comes to everything, but specifically coffee. Every night after the show, there'd be at least 1 or 2 bottles of red wine, really great red wine.
Yes.
And food. You're also a great cook. And I don't want to say there's a stereotype about, you know, musicians having low qualities of life, but there is sort of that image when people, you know, talk about a musician, you know, they're just eating like canned food or something.
Ramen.
Yeah. And between, you know, that and then, you know, you dress well, you know, you kind of defy all those like stereotypes if they exist. Has that always been the case for you?
No.
When did sort of you cultivate that, you know, that Renaissance man that you are?
You know, when I think overseas helped me a lot with the food thing. Like, I've always loved food.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Even like simple stuff. And then when I went to Italy for the first time in high school, I think we were there for maybe 10 days, 12 days, something like that. And we were like Milan and south of Florence. And so the foods I was eating, trying, even drinking wines, that was when I first tried Chianti wine in a straw bottle over there. And I was like, man, this is really good. And I'm like 16, 17 years old. I didn't really touch it after that. I mean, I think I tried white wine and stuff and like mixed drinks. And then it wasn't until, you know, college, like middle of college, that I started gravitating towards red wine.
Okay.
And then after college, really like just liking the taste, enjoying the taste of wine.
Yeah.
And over the years, you know, your palate just changes like music, you know. Like I went from like drinking red Zinfandels, I should say, to like really circling back to the Italian wines, the more dry, older, pure wines. And same thing with food. like when I go to restaurants, you eat something that you really like, or you try something overseas, you eat something, you have something that's like, man, I want this again. How do I make it? Mm-hmm. So I think everybody has some kind of bug that like that triggers something. You know, you see like somebody who wears a particular thing is like, man, I really like that style.
Yeah.
So how can I kind of, you know, pull from that? And same thing with food. Some people are gifted at, you know, other things, and they see somebody doing something that is kind of in the trajectory of what they want to do, then you just, you know, you follow that thing. Like, you know, when we were out with Keb, and Taj is like huge on food, you know, huge on food. And the way Keb is, as far as like his sonic approach, when it comes to like sounds and things like that, like my major was recording industry. And prior to that though, when I was in junior high school, the sound guy at church, like I was always trying to look at the console and like see kind of what did what and like what kind of mics and stuff. And so then when Keb would talk about these different things and high passes and all that stuff, I'm like, okay, I get it, I hear it. You know, some people are like, oh man, you don't need all that, you don't have to. It's like, no, it makes a difference when you actually, for lack of better words, when you give a shit about it, you know, it makes a difference, you know, because people can feel like, oh, you really care about what you're doing. This isn't just like a club gig on stage. Right. This is a stage performance. People are paying, you know, it's like, it needs to be right. Care.
Yeah.
You know, care.
Yeah, exactly. There's something to that, you know, I've thought about that a lot. You know, if this is where the market is, you have to be somewhere in that ballpark for them to care about you. But that ballpark exists up to here and then also down to there. And underselling yourself or undermarketing yourself does yourself a disservice if people are willing to raise. And that's how the market raises, when you raise the bar yourself. I think Kev's a great example of that. You have a project coming out in November.
Yes.
Right.
November 23rd.
November 23rd. So maybe talk a little bit about that, because it's your second major project. Is that right? Second, third?
Second project.
Second project. Okay. Second project.
Yeah.
And the first one that you've done live, and that was a big decision.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That. So the first, I think, live project that I ever heard, live studio audience type of thing, was Al Jarreau's Try a Little Tenderness album.
Yeah.
And then I saw video footage of it. I'm like, man, it's like, because, you know, my heroes on there, you know, and I'm like checking it out. Steve Gadd, Philippe Chase, and Marcus Miller, Michael Brecker, all these people. And I'm like, okay, they did that. And then Kirk Whalum did, the Gospel Recorded Jazz projects and everything. Sure. And I remember talking to, a while ago to Larry Carlton, and he was wanting to like do some playing around town, just like not under his name, but just to like play some standards, just to get, you know, back into that thing. And I said, well, I mean, I can just book sound check and we can just play. He said, no. I want to play live in front of people because you got to commit. And that stuck with me. And so it was like, you know, the whole concept of, you know, being in the studio, you know that you have another shot at it. Yeah. So the commitment level, at least for me, was usually not where it needed to be.
Yeah,
but when I would play live,
thing.
But when I play live and people are watching, it's like, I can't fix this. So it's like, you got to hit it, you know, hard. Yeah. And so for the studio thing, I was like, man, I want to do the live thing. And then, of course, obviously, Snarky Puppy, you know, they developed a culture around that, you know what I mean? And yeah, when you play live in front of people, it inspires you, and that's our natural habitat most of the time, you know? Yeah. So especially in improvisational music. I get that, I get that when you're doing something that's more production based and things like that, I get that element being in the studio, like my first album. But this one, I was like, I want to try something where, we play in front of an audience, but it adds a different energy when you're doing it in front of an audience when you're performing like that.
Yeah.
So.
What's it like doing all the things you do and having a family? Because having 2 kids is relatively new within the last 5-10 years. I
think when you have a family that supports what you do, I think that's the key.
Yeah.
When you have a family, who gets it to the best that they can, because especially if they don't come from that world, because I've got friends who marry into the same type of thing, and like where there's 2 musicians, headache, and yet it's like they get it.
Yeah.
And then other people, like my cousin, he told me, he said, before I got married, before I even met Ray, he said, make sure whoever you marry that she has her own thing. She has her thing that she's doing. She's a teacher.
Yeah.
And she has her master's. She's going to eventually get a doctorate and everything. So it's like she has a career.
Yeah.
She's not counting on me per se. And this is what works. And it's an ever evolving thing. We're going on a family vacation for the first time next week.
Wow. Yeah.
And with the kids, and so we're looking forward to that. And it's not gig related either.
Yeah.
Most of the time when she's come out with me, matter of fact, all the time she's come out with me, whether overseas or here in the States, it's been predicated on a gig that I'm going to be in a particular place for a few days or a week or whatever. And so I'm like, come on out, and it'll be a vacation for you. I'm still working, but like, you need a break, so it works out, and the kids haven't, because I play so late and they're so young, they don't really get to see me play a whole lot, except like whether it's YouTube or something. So yeah, I mean it's cool, man. As they get older, like I set up my practice kit finally after we moved into this new home. Set up the kit, and my youngest, I have a acoustic guitar. He's 4, and I put the guitar in his hand. I said, just strum it, just hold the neck and just strum. I said, and so I started playing a groove, and he starts strumming 8th notes in time. And I was like, and that was a special moment. I mean, and at that moment I understood how my mom felt when she saw me like keeping time. And it's a special thing, because it's like every kid is gonna like just whatever. Yeah. But when you actually, and it's consistent, it's like, okay.
Speaking my language.
Yeah. So this is beautiful.
That's cool, man. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks so much, man.
Thank you, man.
Time. I know you're busy. We got a gig tonight.
Yeah, man. Got there, burn it, man.
Yes, sir.
My twin.